about phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs on our Power Grammar, page 131. On page 131, we're talking about phrasal verbs. So first of all, let's talk about what a phrasal verb, what does this word mean? What does this phrase mean? Phrase is a noun. Phrasal is an adjective. So phrasal verb means a verb plus something that we use together in a phrase, and it has a different meaning than its separate parts. For example, when we say fall asleep, are we falling? No. But we put these words together, fall asleep, as a phrasal verb to have a special meaning that is first you're awake and then gradually lose consciousness in your mind for the temporary evening maybe, or just a few hours, you fall asleep. So in your language, do you use the word fall? Do you say fall asleep?
Yes.
You use the word fall? Yeah?
Yeah.
What language is that?
English.
Okay, so no, I'm not talking about English. I'm just wondering, in your language, in your native language, do you have this phrase to fall asleep?
Yes.
You use the word fall? What language is that?
Mongolian.
Mongolian, do you say fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. So in English, it's the same as Mongolian?
Oh no.
No. Okay, now you're saying no. Okay, so what I want you to think about is maybe in your language you have this concept, but you may not use the word fall. Maybe it's just sleep. All right? Or maybe it's just sleep with some other particle. So in English, all right? Well, that's good. You're thinking in English. In English, we have a lot of phrases where the verb is followed by another word. So the word fall by itself, if I fall, then you won't see me because I'll be down on the ground, right? But if I fall asleep, I could just do it here. I don't have to actually fall. So when we say fall asleep, then this is a phrasal verb. We have to think of it as one vocabulary item. All right? In English, we have a lot of words. Some languages also have phrasal verbs, and we have to learn them as a word group. So in English, when you learn a phrasal verb, or sometimes we call it a two-word verb, then we have to learn this whole thing together and not separate them, except grammatically. We have to do some things with the grammar and the syntax. But the idea of it is one vocabulary item. So if we say go on, yes, start speaking and then go on, go on. What does that mean, go on? It means continue, right? So continue is one word, go on is two words, but they have the same meaning, right? So how about if I say the computer, what happens when I come to the computer? I turn on and turn off, right? I have a camera here. I turn on the camera, I turn off. Do I turn? Do I turn? Does it mean turn, right? If I say turn on the camera, that means I'm standing on the camera and then I'm turning? No, it doesn't mean that. So what I want to show you is that when you say phrasal verb, it means that this is one vocabulary item. And the verb comes first, and then another particle comes next, another word, but we can't separate those things in terms of the concept or the meaning of it. So it's all, the meaning has to go together. We have to do a few things in the grammar when we put them into sentences. Most of our phrasal verbs in English are composed of two words. A few of them have three words. For example, to catch up on. For example, I didn't do my homework last week, so now I have to catch up on a lot of assignments. All right? I have to catch up on a lot of assignments. Last week I didn't sleep enough, so this weekend I'm going to catch up on my sleep. Catch up on three words, but that's a phrasal verb. That means I'm going to restore or recover what I lost. So I lost that last week of assignments, or I lost that week of sleep, or something like that, then I catch up on it. So sometimes we have three words in our phrasal verb. So most phrasal verbs have how many words? Two. And a few of them have three. Okay. So if we say, for example, to hand in homework, what's the phrasal verb? Hand in. Hand in, right. Okay, so here's my hand. Do I give my hand? No, but if I say hand in, what does that mean? It means to submit. Okay, now submit is more formal, and hand in is more oral or conversational. So if I say hand in your homework, you all know that you must take it, give it to the teacher, right? And so I collect all the homework, students hand in their homework. On the web, when I give you a quiz or a survey, it doesn't say hand in. What does it say? Submit. It says submit, and you click the submit button. Is that the same as hand in? Yes. Okay, so we have a lot of synonyms where the phrasal verb has two words like hand in, and the academic word is only one, submit. All right, so those have the same meaning, and you have to know the difference between the academic word and the conversational word, and which one to use in what place. All right. Now, so as I said, they have synonyms, and they're more, the one-word synonyms are more common in formal written English, and the phrasal verbs are more common in spoken or conversational English. So because you listen to lectures and college professors talk, you'll have to be able to understand them. And of course, we use them a lot in conversation. Now, the next thing we need to know about phrasal verbs is the grammar part. Separable and inseparable. All right, so if we have two words of our phrasal verb, some of them are separable and some of them must stick together and you cannot put anything in between them. If you say to jot down some notes or jot down the main idea to the lecture as you're listening to it, you're jotting down, you mean you're making notes, abbreviations. You jot down the main idea. Okay, I'm going to jot down your phone number. I'm going to jot down the main idea. You can separate jot down and say jot the main idea down. I'm going to jot your telephone number down. So this kind of a verb is separable, and you will hear, you will see both ways. Okay, let's pronounce it. I jotted down the main idea.
I jotted down the main idea.
I jotted the main idea down.
I jotted the main idea down.
So together, I jotted down the main idea. Separated, I jotted the main idea down. Two parts of it, okay? Now, how about when we don't have a noun? If we have a pronoun, main idea, is that singular or plural? Singular. So do we say them or it? It. When we use a pronoun, we must put the pronoun in between. So I jotted it down. I jotted it. What did you do with the main idea? What did you do with the telephone number? I jotted it down. Can we say I jotted down it? No. That's not grammatical in English. We have to know which two-word verbs, which phrasal verbs are separable, so that when we use the pronoun, we'll know we have to put the pronoun in between the two parts. I jotted it down. Repeat. I jotted it down.
I jotted it down.
All right, good. Many verbs, phrasal verbs, are separable, but some are inseparable. So what does that mean? For example, talk about, two words together. I talked about the chapter, we talked about sleep, we talked about nutrition, we talked about exercise. Can we say we talked exercise about? No. Can we say we talked nutrition about? No. So these are two parts that are inseparable. We always keep them together. We talked about nutrition. We will talk about speech. Any verb tense, but they have to stick together. So we have to keep them together. They are inseparable. That means we cannot separate them. We must stick them together. We can change the verb tense. Talked about, talking about, will talk about, have talked about. But we have to keep those together and put the object at the end. It doesn't matter if the object is a noun or a pronoun. For example, we talked about sleep. Repeat. We talked about sleep. We talked about it. So we have to keep those words talked about together and put the object at the end. So what do we call this kind of phrasal verb? We call it inseparable. They're inseparable. All right? So when we learn phrasal verbs, we have to learn the meaning, and we have to learn whether they are separable or inseparable. Those are two things we need to learn, or three things. How many things is that? That's a lot of things. Next, we will talk about how to put them in sentences, especially with stress and linking. So let's look at activity 6.